Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to navigate Resolume using this Midi controller. This is the Korg Nano Control 2, and you should have one at your campus as well. But this should allow us to control Resolume without needing to use the keyboard and mouse. You might need to use the mouse every once in a while if you need to jump out of order through a few columns, but we should be able to do everything from the Midi controller. So I'm going to show you the buttons and faders that you need to know. You don't need to know everything on here. There's only a few buttons and a few faders that you need to remember. So I'm going to start with these two buttons here. This is rewind and fast forward on the Midi controller, but in Resolume that's going to be previous column and next column. So that way you don't have to worry about trying to click on these tiny little tabs here to fire a column. What you can do now is just progress through the worship experience using the next button. So I'm going to click that, and it just goes to the next column. No matter where my mouse is, it'll always go to the next column. And of course, the previous button will go to the previous column, and I can navigate through using these two buttons. So those are the main two buttons you need to think about, need to be using. And then as far as faders, I'm going to start over here all the way on the right. This 8th fader is going to be our master. So anything that Resolume is outputting, whether it's to the screens or to pixel bars, if you bring this fader down, it's going to black it out. And then notice our master output here moves with this fader. So when I push the fader up, that moves as well. And the great thing is, if this is down, anything you do in Resolume is going to be black. So if you click on another song to cue it up, it's still not going to show up until I push this fader up. So this is great to use if in case you get in trouble and something's really off, you can just kind of bail to black. The other thing we'll use it for is if, say, there's a video during the welcome. Rather than navigating back to a column that has black on it, we'll just bring this fader down, just like lighting would, and then we'll push the fader up when the video is over. So this is the master level. The second fader here is really cool actually. This is going to have every layer that has lyrics on it, and it'll allow you to bring this fader down, and that'll kill all lyrics on the screen. So any lyric support that's on the screen is going to be off if this fader is down. I can push this fader up, bring the lyrics back, down they're gone, up they're back. So if anything gets off with lyrics and you don't want to just bail to black, you can just bring this fader down, the lyrics will go away, and then you can regroup and figure out what's going on. So that's these two faders. This third fader here, this one's a little bit different. So this is actually going to be your transition speed from column to column. So I'm going to push this fader up and down, and watch down here in this layer panel, this value, this transition duration. When this fader is at full, the duration is 5 seconds. When this fader is down, the duration is 0 seconds. So if I have the fader all the way up and I go to another column, it's going to do a really slow 5-second fade into that column. If I have this fader down, and it's all the way at 0 seconds, it's just going to cut from column to column. All that to say, you'll want to make sure this fader lives around 2 seconds. That's usually a transition speed that looks good, just going from worship song to worship song. The only time I'll change it is usually when we get closer to the sermon. Let's say we're in the song before the sermon. I like to push this all the way up to 5 seconds to transition into the sermon scene. So it's a more seamless transition. It's not jarring or really jolting. But as a general rule, you'll want to leave this fader around 2 seconds. And it's not going to be exactly 2 seconds, just somewhere around there. So I'm going to move over now to the left side and start with these 3 faders. And I'm going to go over to a song that has flow. So these 3 faders are going to be flow faders. And anywhere where you see this little teal diamond on top of the visuals for a song, that means there's flow content that's ready to go. And the way you use that flow content is by pushing these faders up. So I'm going to go to back to Grateful. And you'll notice we have the normal visuals and the lyrics that come up. And now I'm going to push this first fader, and this first fader is flowed down. I'm going to push this fader up. And now it looks the same because this flowed down content is very similar to what was going on. But if I bring it down, you'll notice the normal visuals come back. So push that fader back up, and this is flow down. And now I've got the normal visuals. The second fader is flow big. If I push this fader up, it's going to put up a more energetic look. I can bring that down as well. And we're back to our normal visuals. And these stack on top of each other. So when I bring up flow down and then bring up flow big will override flow down. So if I bring flow down, up or down, it's not going to change. So as a general rule, fader 1 is going to be flow down, fader 2 is going to be flow big. So if you do have another situation where lyrics get off or visuals get behind or ahead or they're just wrong, you can bring these faders up to cover that up and just use flow content. The third fader is another flow layer. It's not mapped yet. We're not using it for anything yet, but I just have it ready to go. So really all you need to worry about is these 2 faders here and these 3 faders here. So once again, we have flow down, flow big, the master, lyrics, and transition speed. So that pretty much covers everything you need to know about the MIDI controller. In the next couple videos we'll talk about time code, and if you're not using time code you can skip those videos, and we'll talk about how to queue up different songs and use flow. So we'll see you guys in the next video.